Hi, everybody. If you could start making your way back to the tables. Thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Crespo.
Good afternoon. Hello. I hope you had nice lunch. Good. I spent all night cooking last night. Just to make sure you liked it. It is a privilege for me to introduce you the next speaker. His name is Dr. Jason Podravsky. He's the interim vice president for research at Portland State University. He's in charge of the Office of Research and Graduate Studies, who is also partially supporting this event today. The Office of Research and Graduate Studies is the office that is in charge of all the research happening at the institution. They look out for how the grants are submitted, and once the grants are received, how the funding is distributed, and to make sure that you have a safe research environment. Many things happen besides just somebody coming up with an idea and trying to do it. There has to be an infrastructure. There are also regulatory processes that some of you might be interested in doing that because it's a very important component of research. But somebody has to be in charge and make sure that that happens. So not only is Dr. Podravsky in charge of that part, another aspect of Dr. Podravsky is he is a research mentor, and he's in charge of a research learning community. Remember yesterday we kept using the word RLC, RLC. So if you want to see what a research mentor in a research learning community looks like, Dr. Podravsky is the person. So I will let you with Dr. Podravsky, our Vice President for Research at Portland State University.
Thanks, Carlos. Does this work? All right. Wow, that's a lot of people. This is super exciting. So welcome to the Research Summer Academy, or Summer Research Academy. That's what we ended up calling it, right? I'm super excited about this because this is the first time that we've had this on campus. And it's great to see so many people here interested in research. I wanted to talk with you a little bit today just about me and my personal journey and the importance of research in it, and to give you some reflections that I've had in my years. I think I've been at Portland State now for almost 20 years, and I've mentored undergraduates in my lab for that entire time. And there are some things that I learned both as an undergraduate when I was conducting research that I think are important lessons to keep in mind. And there's what you probably don't realize is that you'll teach your mentors more than they're going to teach you. I've learned so much from students about what they need and want out of a research experience. And so many diverse perspectives that it makes me a better scientist, I think. And so remember that when you're engaging in these relationships and mentoring, that it has to be a two-way street. And when it's a really good two-way street, everybody does way better. I mean, it's just amazing. So for all of you out there, I'm a native Oregonian. I grew up in Sweet Home, Oregon. Anybody know where that is? Yeah, tiny little logging town. Like, my thoughts when I was in high school was I wanted to win a football championship. We did. And I wanted to have a muscle car. I didn't. And I wasn't thinking about, I was good at biology and I really liked school, but I wasn't like thinking about research as an actual job. So I went to college. I went to the big city of Corvallis, Oregon, 50,000 people. That was the big city for me. And went to Oregon State. And, I don't know about you, but when I was a sophomore or junior, everybody would ask me, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? What are you going to do? What are you going to major in? And I'm like, I have no idea. At first, I thought I was going to be a doctor, but then I realized that I faint at the sight of blood, so that's not a good one. And then I thought, well, I'll be a marine biologist, and so I went out on an oceanographic cruise and got so seasick that I never wanted to go back, so I couldn't do that one. And one day I was in a marine biology course, and a guy named George Somero, who was a instructor there, was talking about how organisms adapt to their environments. And he was talking about how each one has a special set of adaptations that makes them able to survive in a very unique place in the world. And he was especially interested in extreme environments. So he was studying like these clams that live at hydrothermal vents at the bottom of the ocean, and Antarctic fish that live in frozen waters and have antifreeze proteins in their blood. And it was one of those like aha moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, my whole life this is the way I've viewed the world, but nobody's ever put it into words. And I was like almost, I don't even remember the rest of the lecture that he gave that day because I was just so excited to try that, to take that course. So I went up to him after class and I was scared because here's this guy. He's actually a member of the National Academy of Sciences. At the time I didn't know this. I just knew he was like this big professor and he scared me. And I was like, hey, do you have any opportunities in your lab? And he said, yeah, just show up next week and we'll put you to work. And that was the start of my research journey. And it took me from being sort of aimlessly going through college. I was still doing well, but I didn't really know what I was wanting to do, to galvanizing for me that research was something that I wanted to do. And that relationship that I established with him sent me on my trajectory. It introduced me to people that were also interested in the things that I was interested in, and got me like interviews at universities that I'm pretty sure I would have never gotten interviews at without that influence. So it was super important. But it also helped me to realize that there was a whole community of people out there that thought the same way that I did, or similar ways that I did. And they looked at the world in a similar way. And it was very reassuring to know there was a community out there for me, because up to that point, I didn't know what I was going to do and kind of felt like I was this weird, bookish, short kid who just liked biology. But after that, I had this whole group of people that we could sit around and talk about nerdy stuff all day. We called ourselves BioGeeks, still do to this day. I'm still friends with many of those people to this day. So I think, for me, research and getting involved in a research lab was like a formative and I would say transformative experience. And it may not be for everybody in this room, but I hope that it is, and I hope that you find that place in your journey through your undergraduate career. I also do want to say that I've seen students come and go through my lab, and I've had the same experience where, there are as many different personalities of labs or research learning communities or mentors out there as there are people, right? So the person who runs the lab kind of sets the tone, they set the personality because they're choosing people to come into their labs. And not every place is a good fit for every student. So, and I've had students that come in and they're like, you know what, this just isn't clicking for me, and I don't get along with people, I don't really like the questions you're asking. I'm not good at research, is their conclusion from that. And my answer to that is no, that's not right. It's not that you're not good at research, it's that you're not in the right environment. So please, as you're exploring through your years and you find a lab maybe to work in or a research learning community to participate in, and maybe it doesn't work out, don't think that that means that you're not good at research. It just means that maybe you weren't in the right place, and look for another place. Long time ago, I took a world religions class, and I remember one of the things about Buddhism that they talked about is that it's very much an apprenticeship situation, right? You find somebody to lead you on the path. And for research labs, it's really the same sort of thing. You're in apprenticeship, you need to trust your mentor needs to trust you, and it needs to be that relationship that works both ways. And so, in Buddhist practice, if at any time either person can say this relationship isn't working and I need to find a different mentor or I need to find a different student, and both understand at the beginning that that's a potential outcome. And I hope that you'll look at it that way too, and don't feel intimidated or anything like that. Like, you should be able to talk to your research mentors and say, this isn't working for me and I need something different. And their response should be, okay, let's figure out how to get you what you need and work with you, because there's so many other people around that and experiences out there that I hope that you don't get caught in any sort of a rut and think that that's the only way to approach this. So I just want to make sure that I say that because I've had a couple of students that, sort of measured their ability to do research based on one experience. And there's so much out there. There are so many different types of ways to conduct research and to approach the world. And you just need to search maybe a little bit to find the right one. So I guess, other things that I'd like to say at this time is that it's really exciting to me that we have so many programs represented here that are working to bring folks who have been either minoritized or underrepresented in the sciences especially, but in all disciplines. Because I don't think earlier in my career I really recognized the importance of those diversity of views, but it's really important. And it's really important that we work really hard to make sure that all those views are heard. And I think, it's easy sometimes to sit in a group and you're the new person and you're not sure of yourself and you maybe have imposter syndrome, which I think I still have. I mean, there's some days where I'm like, they're going to realize at some point that I shouldn't be the interim vice president for research, right? Or they're going to realize that I shouldn't be a professor in the biology department. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm getting away with something, which is probably good. It probably means I chose the right job, right? Like, I feel like I'm being paid to do something I would do anyway. But, don't be afraid to speak up. Say what's on your mind. Share your opinion on something, your feelings on something, or if you read a paper, it's impossible, for instance, like so many times in my lab these days, students are bringing me new information that I didn't know existed. And if I were to just say, oh, you're a student, I don't want to hear what you have to say, then I would miss out on so much. So, you have the potential to broaden your research learning community or your mentor's view of the world, the things that are important, new techniques. Don't be scared to bring that stuff to them. It's really important that you not be afraid to engage at that level. And I'll just say that not all mentors are created equal. If your mentor doesn't appreciate that, I would suggest maybe you have a talk with them or maybe find a different mentor, to be honest. My colleagues might not like me saying that, but I think it's true. So anyway, I guess I just wanted to say a few things like that, and I want to thank you all for joining in this opportunity. I hope that you find a home here at PSU that allows you to build a community and feel supported and to explore your interests. Research comes in all shapes and sizes. I know there might be some folks here that are in the humanities or even in the arts. I've been, as a hard scientist, it took me a while, I'm going to admit, to understand what's meant by creative research in the arts, but I think I got it. It took the dean of the College of the Arts a couple years to help me understand it because my brain's very linear. But there's so many opportunities to do unique and exciting things at a place like PSU, and I hope that you enjoy yourself, because that's the other thing I would say. If you find at any time that you're not enjoying what you're doing, question it, because there was never a time, even when I was in graduate school and working probably ridiculous hours, like 80 hours a week. Nobody asked me to do that. I just wanted to do it. I was so excited to be able to do it. And so it should never feel like a job or like work. It should always be a joy to get up and have the opportunity to do research, and I hope that that's what you experience as well. So anyway, I'll be quiet now. I thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the program.